somewhere, right now, you can still remember the exact moment someone didn't pick you. Maybe it was years ago, maybe decades. But if you let yourself think about it, the feeling comes back almost instantly. Sharp, specific, real. That's strange, isn't it? A memory shouldn't hurt. It's not happening anymore. Nothing is touching your skin. And yet, your chest tightens, your stomach drops. Something in your body responds as if the moment is happening all over again. So what is actually going on here? The answer starts in a place you wouldn't expect, the same part of your brain that lights up when you stub your toe. Neuroscientist Naomi Eisenberger ran a now famous study where participants played a simple ball-tossing game inside a brain scanner. At first, everyone passed the ball back and forth normally. Then, without warning, the other players stopped throwing it to the subject. They were left out, just like that. And the brain scans showed something remarkable. The same regions that activate during physical pain, the anterior cingulate cortex, lit up the moment people were excluded. Not metaphorically, not poetically. Actually, your brain does not clearly separate social pain from physical pain. To your nervous system, being left out and being physically hurt are processed through overlapping circuitry, which means when you say being rejected hurt, you're not exaggerating. You're describing something biologically accurate. But why would evolution build it this way? To understand that, you have to go back to a time when being alone wasn't just uncomfortable, it was a death sentence. For most of human history, survival depended entirely on the group. A human alone in the wilderness, without tools, without fire, without others to share food, watch for predators, or help during illness, didn't last long. The tribe wasn't a nice to have, it was the only thing standing between you and the cold, the dark, and whatever was out there. So your ancestors' brains needed a way to detect instantly when their place in the group was at risk. Pain works as an alarm system. Physical pain tells you something is damaging your body. Fix it now. Evolution appears to have repurposed that exact alarm system for a second, equally urgent message. Something is damaging your social bond. Fix it now. This is why rejection doesn't feel like sadness exactly. It feels like injury. Psychologist Kipling Williams spent years studying this exact phenomenon, something he called ostracism. Across dozens of experiments, he found that even brief, meaningless exclusion, being ignored by strangers in a study, being left out of an online game, triggers measurable distress within seconds. People reported feeling worse, their sense of belonging dropped, and critically, this happened even when participants knew the exclusion meant nothing, that it was just a computer program, that the other players weren't even real. Knowing it didn't matter, the alarm fired anyway. This tells you something important about how deep this system runs. It's not a thought. It's not a belief you can talk yourself out of. It's a reflex wired in long before language, long before logic, back when the cost of being wrong about your social standing could be your life. And here's where it gets even more interesting. Your brain doesn't just register rejection in the moment. It remembers it vividly, specifically, for years. Why would a brain hold on to something so unpleasant for so long? Because from an evolutionary standpoint, forgetting would be dangerous. If being excluded once meant your survival was threatened, then remembering exactly what led to that exclusion, what you said, what you did, who reacted how, gave you the best chance of not repeating it. Pain that fades too quickly teaches nothing. Pain that lingers becomes a lesson. Your brain isn't torturing you when it replays that memory. It's trying to protect you, badly, using tools built for a world that no longer exists. Because here's the mismatch. In the ancestral world, social rejection usually meant something. It often reflected a real shift in your standing within a small group of people you'd know for your entire life. The stakes were enormous, and so was the signal. Today, you can be rejected by someone who barely knows you, a stranger's dismissive comment, an unanswered message, a joke that didn't land in a group chat. None of these threaten your survival in any real sense, but your alarm system doesn't know that. It's still running ancient software calibrated for a world of 150 people you'd spend your whole life with, now operating in a world of millions of brief, low-stakes interactions. Every one of them gets run through the same ancient filter. Does this mean I don't belong? Most of the time, the honest answer is no, but the alarm fires before the honest answer arrives. This is why a single critical comment can outweigh 10 compliments, why one person not laughing at your joke can replay in your mind louder than the 5 people who did. Psychologists call this negativity bias, and it exists for the same reason the pain system exists. In an ancestral environment, missing a threat was far more costly than missing a reward. A brain that overreacts to possible rejection survives. A brain that shrugs it off doesn't get a second chance to learn. So what do you do with a system like this? You can't switch it off. You can't decide logically to stop feeling the sting of being left out because the system that produces that sting isn't operating on logic. It's operating on an ancient calculation about survival that your conscious mind doesn't even have access to. But you can change how you respond to the alarm once it fires. When rejection hits and your chest tightens and your mind starts replaying the moment on a loop, that's not a sign that something's wrong with you. It's a sign that an extremely old, extremely well-built system is doing exactly what it evolved to do. The system is accurate. The conclusion it's drawing, that your survival is now at risk, usually isn't. Naming that gap, out loud if it helps, can interrupt the loop. This isn't a threat to my survival. This is my ancient alarm system misfiring in a modern moment. That single sentence won't make the feeling vanish, but it can stop the feeling from becoming the whole story. So the next time a memory of being excluded surfaces out of nowhere, sharp and specific even after all these years, you'll know what it actually is. Not weakness, not oversensitivity, just an old, faithful alarm still going off for a world that doesn't exist anymore, still trying, in its own outdated way, to keep you safe.